All right, welcome back to the OG Rivals podcast. I am one of your hosts, Miles Teddick, the Packer fan on this podcast. Feeling not so great after 7 weeks of football. Joined by the winning Bears fan here, Sir Miguel Prado. Feeling good. How you doing, sir?
Dun 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 dun. Monday night, man. We are here, episode 13, Miles, with the OG Rivals podcast. I think we may feel a little differently, but worth talking about how we're feeling here. Why don't
Yes.
you get us out of the gate strong with giving an opportunity to people to feel better today?
Yeah, most Packer fans, y'all probably need it right now. Y'all need a little bit of a boost. I do. And I'll tell you what, when I need to feel better today, I live it. I know where to go. I know who to start with because it is a passion of mine. Specifically, lifeleafremedies.com is where you go for that. We have a passion for helping y'all feel better today. We're trying to make effective natural remedies by combining cannabinoids like CBD, CBDA, CBG, CBN, and a lot more with natural vitamins that you know and love, minerals, fungi. Mushrooms are doing a lot of really cool things for people right now. And we're here to help you take better care of yourself and your family with natural things. You know, too many people taking a lot of fake things that aren't so good for you. Let's take natural things. Let's help ourselves feel better today. Visit lifeleafremedies.com. Today and through the end of October, y'all get a free bottle of our 60-count gummies. Spend $75 with us on the website or more, and I am going to send you a free bottle of those gummies. And also, don't pay for shipping, y'all. Subscribe, save, and if you don't want to stay subscribed, don't have to. You know that you're in full control of that. You can take advantage of the free shipping. Unsubscribe afterwards if you want. That's fine. You're going to get some amazing products. You're going to want to come back. You're going to want to do it again. So we'll just save you the time and help you out the first time. But check us out, guys. We want to help y'all feel better today, and everybody needs it. But everybody also has a little bit of homework, a little bit of an obligation, if you will. Sir, can you take them through that?
Yeah, I absolutely will. Feel better and sleep better, Miles. I'm actually really excited to hear about that
Here,
that
here.
offer, that 60 count gummy. That's a good deal. We got to get away from calling it homework because I'm in grad school, so that kind of stresses
Negative
me out. Yeah.
connotation, yeah.
Let's just call it. If you are a loyal listener there at home, and you enjoy me and Miles going back and forth, and you're in for a good treat today because we are fans.
We got some
So
good
you're going to get
stuff.
it unfiltered, raw. There's a lot of emotion flying around here with where these teams are at in week 8. So if you do like us, don't forget to spike that like button, leave us a comment, subscribe, and talk about us at your next tailgate. And boy, it was a
Absolutely.
rainy one in Foxborough, Miles, but maybe there's some storms brewing in Green Bay. Let's talk about that.
We know there's storms brewing. They're brewed. The eye of the storm is over Green Bay right now. Like it is just hovering there. It's not going anywhere. It's one of those anomalies where the storm just hanging out and nobody knows what to do to get rid of it. Yeah, man. Let's just jump in this ice cold water, shall
Let's
we?
do it.
We've heard enough from the fearless leader Aaron Rodgers. He gets to go on and run his mouth every week and has gotten himself in plenty of trouble doing that. And you know, I've gone back and forth about am I overreacting or am I just do I just need to be patient and trust this guy through it? And I've taken a bit of an inventory on the landscape around us. You know, when the likes of a Chris Sims says, I've been a Rodgers apologist and I'm sick of this guy. When Florio is over here getting to just do freaking victory laps around us right now because of what is going on in Green Bay, the guy is like, he's so obnoxious, but he's just not even wrong, and that's what I hate about it. I'm checking all these places. I'm seeing all these people who used to be apologists of Rodgers, as I have been, and they all feel the same way I do. We're all sick of it. We are so sick of this. And I'll credit other people for being sick of him for this, similar or the same reasons prior to this. But I will say he has always answered with that MVP level of play where you're like, What do you say to this guy? Even when everybody was coming at him with the pitchforks about the vaccination, immunization, I kind of lied to the media. I kind of didn't. Man, it was venom coming from Green Bay media for him. And what did he do? He went out and played like an MVP. It's like, what do you say to that? You have to shut up. You win games. People shut up. He's not winning games. He's playing like crap, and he's playing so bad. And I love that everybody's, taking the surface level of this. Look, Aaron Rodgers is one of those very self-aware folks. He made the mention on McAfee about Tom Clements grading this as his highest game for a reason. He knows that is garbage. He knows that's dog crap. He knows that everybody is on Twitter talking about him, saying that he is playing like crap. I want to let the explicitives fly, but I'm trying to keep us,
Hey, we're a family
happy
show.
with YouTube.
We're a family show.
Well, but you guys can feel it. The F bombs are dying to come out of my mouth right now.
They're there.
And so when I take the pulse of the room, everybody feels the same way. We're sick of this crap, man. And he's like, "Well, I graded out the highest this week." You know what I have to say to that? I have exactly what you had to say to Roquan Smith about him being the leading tackler on a non-playoff team. It's like, dude, if you're the highest graded player on a dog shit effort, and I'll leave it at that with the expletives, what's the point? Like, what are you bragging about? You got your butt handed to you by somebody who you should not have. Like, let's just say, like, we can easily just leave it at that. I mean, Tyler Heineke, and they did it to him last year. I think it was last year, but he's done it to him before. And I tweeted this before the game. I said, I am not going back on this, even though Wentz is out, because the Packers have a way of making backup quarterbacks look like MVPs. Here we go. Well, I'm not a prophet, guys. These guys are just in patterns. I know you're dying to rebut.
No, I'm not going to rebut because, listen, I agree.
Or contribute.
I agree because if you're following at home, if you're listening at home, watching at home, this is the first time I think that 100% of this podcast is sick of Aaron Rodgers. Miles, I'm just last week we mentioned if there was a quarterback controversy, that's obviously not the situation. But if you are wondering what has Miles this upset, the Packers lost to the Commanders this weekend, and I don't know if anybody saw that coming.
No, I called it a 1-point win and a frustrating win, and I really thought that that's what we were unfolding for, and then we just fall on the face. It's like, God, what are we doing here? I mean, I'm the one saying this. Rodgers is out there mouthing it on the field while he's in practice doing stuff like this. You know what? I'm all for messing around, dude. I'm a clown at work if we can be a clown at work, but man, when you're getting your butt handed to you,
you can't be upset about that practice video, can you? I mean, he's just having some fun at practice.
After you lose, you can. If you win, it's like, hey, look, this is why they won. It's like the coach deciding to take an onside kick. If you make it, you're a genius. If you don't, you're an idiot.
So
the point is that's just not what you want to see from this guy right now. And he is stacking up thing after thing of what you don't want to see. We've talked about things that stink before. This stinks, man.
Well, we talked about when Sammy Watkins, when that deep ball hit him in his hands, and the camera goes to Rodgers, and he's just rolling his eyes. The body language, what message that sends to the young guys. It's no secret. Again, camera cuts back to Rodgers, and he's mouthing, what are we doing, right? And it is one of those Miles where and I'm not laughing at you here. I'm laughing with you because how you feel right now is what being a Bears fan feels like week in and week out off season. So it's one of those like coming back down to earth as a Green Bay Packer fan.
You're welcoming me back down to earth.
Yeah, because look, right now I think, and obviously we are approaching that November 1st trade deadline, but I'm seeing wide receivers that the Packers may be targeting. I'm seeing, some selling options with some Jordan Love packages. What's the sentiment with the season, Miles? Are you selling or are you buying? What's going on?
Well, I'll turn it back to within because kind of like my response to what do you expect against the Commanders this week, it really just depends on what's going on between three people. Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, and Aaron Jones. Why on earth they can't figure out in a third or fourth and short, call it less 2 or less, to just hand the ball off to one of the best ball carriers in the league. It's insulting. It's criminal. At this point, it's irresponsible. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all these, well, we need to simplify. Well, I don't know what that means. All this finger pointing between the folks that are happy to flex about who's play calling when things are going well. Who's calling these plays, guys? Somebody step up and take some accountability for who is not calling 33's number. And I get it. He had a total of plenty of touches in the game. You know, he had a decent game, total yards, had a score through the air, kind of a forward shovel pass. Point is, he's your best offensive weapon right now, and you ran the ball 12 times. What are you doing? If you don't trust your receivers so much to the extent that you have to go off and mortgage the farm, why is 33 not being force-fed 25, 30 carries a game? Like, why hasn't that option been exhausted yet? Usually that's how it goes, right? If you don't have the guys on the outside, you do have the guys on the inside, and you try to exhaust that option. It's like, well, this isn't working. We need some help on the outside. Let's trade for an asset out there. You have the guys on the inside. You've got what I thought was one of the great decision makers, or decision-making quarterbacks in the league. Why can't you have the best of your offense running between the hashes right now? Why are we throwing it to Romeo Doubs on 4th and 1? He dropped 2 or 3 balls easily before that. I can't remember. It was at least 2. Like, why is that the guy we're turning to when the game is on the line? I don't get it. Somebody step up. And here's the thing, to come back to the question is like, what's going on with the season? Well, if somebody in that film room goes, you know what, this is on me. I got to stop audibling out, or I have to start calling 33's number. It's one of the two, right? One of you, either Rodgers is audibling out of run plays and calling his own arm whenever he feels like it, which is what feels like is happening, especially in those crunch time situations. Or LaFleur is just trying to stoke Rodgers as much as he can and relying on Rodgers to check out into runs when he needs to and is not calling runs enough as a base call. One of those two is happening. Which one is it? Now, if they can handle that and they can fix that in the film room and magically adding a DJ Moore for some reason changes everybody's morale and decides that everybody's going to be accountable now, well, shoot, yeah, you're Super Bowl bound again. You're back on the road to the playoffs. You're back on the road to the Super Bowl. But if you can't fix that, you need to sell now. You need to get as much as you can for Aaron Rodgers, get him out, and move on to Jordan Love and Aaron Jones. But that question has to be answered within. And I'll be the first to say, I'm out here shouting, you don't know how to use the weapons you have. Why is trading for a weapon going to make that better? Now, if for some reason it's like a kid getting a new toy and it just changes things, now the kid's happy, all right, fine. Get a kid the new toy that he'll trust and a DJ Moore or whatever. I hear that rumor floating around. Go get him the DJ Moore. And if that corrects everybody's attitude, then turns this thing around, then great. That's what needed to happen. But again, if talent is what you're pointing to, because you've got rookie receivers and you've got injuries with Cobb and Watson and Sammy Watkins, I always get him mixed up with Watson and Watkins. Because of your injuries, you're going to point to the receivers stink again, and that's why they missed Devontae Adams. It's like, well, all right, and Lazard's out, but you're down a lot of receiving options anyway, and you're still not calling the numbers of the other guys. Yeah. So something has to fix that before you can fix anything else. Gute may be sitting there in the room going, well, you know what, maybe a DJ Moore does fix this because I know how these personalities would mesh, and boom, that happens. I don't know, man. I as a fan, I got to throw my hands up and say, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very steep price that would need to be paid for a DJ Moore, considering Christian McCaffrey, the package that brought him into San Francisco.
I, I don't want that, to
Um,
be honest. But an Aaron Rodgers to a struggling Panthers team that has no answer at quarterback might be some kind of wild thing that
so
happens,
no,
depending
no,
on how the personalities are meshing in the room.
no. I can tell you that when you mention are they willing to blow it all up and see what you can get for Rodgers. That's not in this dimension or the next dimension a reality. I don't see that being an option on the table for the Packers in 2023 season. Um, I
Here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. And
But
and
it's
we
not going to
started to
happen.
talk about this last week. But hear me out. I'm not pulling that out of my ass to be extreme, right? I'm not just trying to be hyperbolic and use that as like a panic button. The thing is, and this is why I point back to it, the personalities in the room. Gute is the general manager, right? He's the one who can fire the head coach if he has to, right? So he is the one who's really kind of looking at this as more of a, like kind of a visionary horizon perspective. From his perspective, there's no question which one of these two individuals is sitting in the chair longer, right? It's not Rodgers. It's definitely Matt LaFleur. So if there is some sort of irreparable personality rift going on between the two, Rodgers will be the first one removed.
So let's start at the
Make no
let's
mistake
start at the
about it.
contract
That will
though. Is
happen.
there a no trade clause in Aaron Rodgers black and white?
I'm not a contract expert, so we
Okay,
would have to answer those questions.
because
I don't
I,
know.
I
I
mean,
don't think there
yeah.
is.
So that's
There
where
may be some
that's where
sort of
my
like
mind
trade consultation
immediately
clause.
goes is someone of 12 stature within an organization. It's no secret that he has clout in decision making and at the bare minimum on um, who some of the skill players around him, right? And um, I would be surprised if there's not a well-written trade clause in his agreement with Green Bay right now, which makes it a little bit trickier and like you said, worth getting to the bottom of. Um, I,
Well, but again, everybody in that room knows that, right? So if there is some sort of situation where that's the answer, Rogers probably at the very least knows that and agrees with it. Probably is a mutual thing at that point.
yeah. So I can't believe I'm going to say this, but what kind of package would Aaron? What kind of package can in today's market, yesterday's price isn't today's price. What package
Right.
would Aaron Rodgers yield today?
Definitely not what he would have right after the Russell Wilson trade. If a deal goes down last offseason, which is probably why it didn't, right after that Russell Wilson trade, he definitely gets at least what they like the equivalent of the Russell Wilson trade,
Agreed.
but in probably different assets. It's probably not as many package of players, but maybe some higher quality picks or something like that. But in this situation, I think it is probably more likely to be like a player and a first.
Yeah.
Like
Who's
like
giving that up for Aaron
maybe a
Rodgers?
player and a package of of seconds.
Because you'd have to imagine.
Somebody who's desperate at quarterback. You've seen teams do desperate things for quarterbacks. I mean, my God, the Denver Broncos are a hilarious example right
Yeah,
now.
but you can go ahead and take them off the table for being in the market to make a deal.
Yeah, they
right?
obviously
So
are not going to do another one. They're a little
I
bit chained
mean,
down.
look, we got what 4 or 5 days here, maybe a few more before the trade deadline. I don't see a team putting that offer together at a one
Yeah, do I think that will happen?
yeah,
No, I don't think that will happen.
yeah.
No.
I can't believe we're having this
But
conversation,
that's
Miles. I'm in shock
hey,
right
this
now.
is a fans
Yeah, I'm,
conversation
I'm in
right now. We're allowed to
shock.
talk.
I'm in shock.
But here's the thing: you shouldn't be in shock because you Bears fans, you and the Vikings fans, the last 2 off seasons have been chirping about how you better enjoy the last dance. This is your last time. and yet again he comes
So,
back around, and here he's back.
so
So now we're the ones trying to get rid of
you
him, and you guys are like, well, not so
well, I
fast.
mean, that's the nature of, what are you doing for me lately? And it's I
Oh
mean, if you're
yeah.
seeing the unraveling, maybe the polite way to put it, right, of this situation that you can see from miles away, right? Like it's barreling at you.
Mm.
It's got writing on the
Yeah.
wall, and I mean, when it finally starts happening, it's one of those where this is a day where I never would have thought in a million years that we'd be having this conversation about the Aaron Rodgers situation in Green Bay. Um, I can tell you how I see it going, Miles, and take this with a grain of salt. Um, I see it being one of those slug it out NFL seasons. It's shaping out to be, right? And 10 weeks left. I think there's going to be some peaks and valleys for the rest of the year with the Packers. I think if one thing to take away right now is just the dominance, right? They're not the dominant team that we thought they were. And it's just that's what's showing up on Sunday, on tape. So I think they're going to be able to win some games enough to stay in contention in the playoff hunt. I think it's going to be tough though because this week having to face that Buffalo Bills defense, you're not going to solve any immediate offensive struggles and just go out and dominate because um, not a lot of teams are able to dominate that Buffalo Bills defense, which is elite.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think it is a slug it out kind of season, and I think that the team likely, even if there are some personality clashes, they're likely looking at it as like, look, we're 3-4, so are the Bucks. You're a game away from 500. You're, still within reach of every goal you've got in front of you. As far as making the playoffs. So, I think that whatever they do or don't do at the trade deadline will be a little bit telling of what's going on in the room. Maybe a little bit telling of some of the health situations that they're dealing with, injury situations. But yeah, I think it's a tough season. I think they finish it out. But I do believe that the further they go into this Aaron Rodgers contract, the more expensive it is for them to get rid of him. So you might see them move at again, probably not this trade deadline, but this offseason, it might be time. That might be when they say, look, it's just not worth keeping you, dude. Like you win another MVP, yeah, we're going to pay another high price for you. But at this point, the further we go, the more strapped we are. And
Yeah,
so
we're
why do you do that? And, I think that's why you got to consider a quick move by management.
we are 8 weeks in, believe it or not. This is week 8, and I would say today Aaron Rodgers is not even in that MVP discussion, right? Like it's just
No,
it's
no, no,
definitely
no, no, no,
not
no, no, no.
that type of year. Um, if that is what's on the horizon for this team, Miles, I don't know what I can say to prepare you for a quarterback uncertainty and what it means in this league. Um, I wish
You don't have to.
no, it's just it's
We got the next one. We're good.
yeah, I don't know, man. There's some trade packages that have Jordan Love on, included in them. So it's one of those where I
Well,
agree. Between now and our next recording, I'm excited to see what happens with
we might have a really fun podcast next
yeah,
week.
yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that trade deadline. There was some movement at Hallis Hall today. Um, but
Yeah. How do you feel
any
about that?
thoughts to wrap up your sentiment on the Commanders game?
The final,
Yeah.
some final
Anything
thoughts on
else?
the Commander. Yeah, because I didn't get to really get into the Commanders game as much as I did just kind of, my
It's all right. It's how
raw
you feel.
fan feelings about Aaron Rodgers right now and his lack of performance and his poor attitude. I hate Aaron Rodgers' attitude. His attitude stinks. If he were playing at an MVP level, it'd be acceptable, but it's not. He needs to. And one thing I heard today. Let me ender on this here. Matt LaFleur said something today that really bothered me, and it should probably, unless it truly means something else, should bother the rest of you. Um, He said that we need the other 10 guys to be at their best so that Aaron can play his best. That is not an MVP. That is not a franchise quarterback. A franchise quarterback, and the way that we have spoken about Aaron Rodgers for the majority of his career, is that he elevates the play of the people around him, which would mean he needs to be at his best for them to be at their best. But the coach, the guy who's most familiar with the situation right now, said the inverse. He speaks about Aaron Rodgers the way that most speak about a rookie quarterback. The rookie quarterback is the one that needs the other 10 at their best so that he can be at his best.
Yeah.
Really alarming. That's what I would expect him to say about Jordan Love. So the fact that he came out and said that in a press conference about Aaron Rodgers should be massively alarming to everyone.
Well,
So I'll say that about where we're at with Aaron Rodgers, and the entire burden of proof is on him. If he keeps playing like an a-hole and stinking it up, then it'll be on the field, and he can, go see how his coach grades him out, I guess. But they'll keep losing, and he might be the highest graded quarterback on a losing team. Congratulations.
well, Bill Belichick benched Mac Jones. Is that a situation that is even a possibility in Green Bay? Do you put in a Jordan
Absolutely.
Love?
You already have the scapegoat because his thumb's injured. So it's already built in there a reason to do it without totally just embarrassing him.
Yeah.
Which is what they would absolutely try to avoid embarrassing him. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur has way too much respect for him. They don't want to do that. But, yeah, they've got the scapegoat there. So if he plays poorly, blame it on the thumb and put him on the bench.
Yeah.
And that can be everybody's reality as far as they're concerned.
Well, I don't know if that's
But
Aaron Rodgers' reality. I think that he at least conducts himself as if he feels that he is above certain, maybe, I don't know how to put this, but like Matt Ryan, for example, right? Like he got benched. He's benched for the rest of the year, right?
Nobody's asking him about how he feels.
Exactly, right? And it's one of those where, let's say that Jordan Love is just a better matchup, right? Just maybe a spark, just a zappy type of situation, right? Where he's just a spark off the bench, right? And comes in and just starts lighting it up. Do you do that if you're getting kind of smacked around by the Bills? Like what
You have
you
to.
have to, right?
You have to, yeah. And again, every excuse is built in here. The Bills have a nasty defense. They could easily rough Aaron Rodgers up pretty quick. And again, he's already got the thumb built in as an excuse. Well, he roughed up the thumb, whatever it is. And it's legit. You can't expect everybody to be Brett Favre and put the thing on his thumb and just throw through a broken thumb. Brett Favre proved to have kind of freakish pain tolerance, and a addiction to painkillers might have been something to do with that. But point being is if you have an injured thumb, it's hard to throw a football.
Yeah.
Like just point blank, like we're not talking about something that's like, well, his non-throwing hand has a cut on it. Like that's not going to affect his play. When his throwing hand has an injury to his thumb, it's just naturally going to affect his play. He's terrible beyond 15 yards right now, guys. You can't tell me that something's not wrong. So figure it out. I think it's absolutely in play. And again, you have to remember how management is looking at all of this. There's multiple factors playing into the acceleration of how everybody feels about this. Aaron Rodgers is old, right? I think he's 38 or 39 now. He's making $50 million this year. That's a lot of money. Dude, you aren't playing like $50 million. And everybody has the information to make that judgment for themselves. We're fans. You can't tell me, you don't get to have a say in how much he makes. I don't care. We get to know how much these guys make, and we can watch how they play. Everybody's doing it to Russell Wilson too. He's a giant laughing stock right now because there's nobody in their right mind that would trade those assets for that quarterback play that they're getting. So bottom line is there's a lot of things accelerating this, and it all comes back to what I was saying before. LaFleur is going to be here longer than Rodgers. Whether that's Rodgers is here for the next 3 and LaFleur's here beyond that, or Rodgers is here for the next few months and LaFleur's here beyond that. If a situation arises where they put him on the bench and Love comes in and plays well, and the thing here is Love does not have to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league to win the job. What he has to do is go take over the nice Ferrari of an offense that LaFleur is trying to build and run it the way it's supposed to be run. Rodgers is over here trying to drive the Ferrari like a monster truck. Or I don't know if that's the appropriate analogy, but he's trying to drive it like not a Ferrari. He's trying to drive it like the car that he built. And it's like, no, dude, you have amazing weapons behind you in the backfield, which he hasn't had for the majority of his career. Use them. Hasn't done it. You got great tight ends. Haven't really utilized those guys. You're throwing the ball at people's feet. You can't throw the ball beyond 15 yards. Again, not a high standard for Jordan Love to overcome here. Like, let the monsters behind you run the ball. Get it to your good tight ends that you have. They have solid tight ends that do a great job of protecting the ball. You don't have to put the offense through the receivers. You don't have to put the offense through Jordan Love's arm. But you do that stuff in between the hashes enough, and then you do a nice little play action with Jordan Love. Does he have the tools to launch it downfield a couple times a game and maybe complete a couple of those? Yes, he does. That's all he has to do to win this job. So keep an eye out. Is this a game where the tides could change and you could see Rodgers get benched? I absolutely think you could. Will it happen? I think it would take an injury. I think he's going to have to get hit. They're going to it's going to take a bad situation for it to happen. It's not going to just happen because LaFleur wants to prove a point to Rodgers or something. It's not going to happen with the same attitude that Belichick benched Mac Jones, right? Like, Mac Jones is still a young man, just kind of the same way that Zappy is in Belichick's eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about a 4-time MVP getting benched. It's not going to happen the same way as a second-year starter.
Miles is heated.
So I'm heated right now. I told you we were going to get some raw fan. And guys, this is just raw fan emotion. I am not an expert. I'm a dummy. So just take that for what it's worth and enjoy these dummy opinions. And so, some of them might turn out to be accurate. Watch out.
Yeah.
Just watch out.
Well, this is what being a
It'll
fan's
hit you in
all
the head
about.
sometimes.
This is what being a fan's all about, Miles. And football does this to us, right? Like, I mean, that's one of those beautiful things of being a diehard fan, a rain or shine fan is the team. You have an emotional investment there. You are an owner of the team, Miles, as a fan. And I will say this: if you ask me, not that you did, but if you ask me, what would you want to see? I want to see Aaron Rodgers stay under center as a starting quarterback, so that Justin Fields can get his last win, or I should say, a win against Rodgers at Soldier Field. So, in the spirit of competition, that's what I want. I want to go toe to toe. Yeah, I want to go toe to toe with 12-1. And you asked me, Miles, kind of prepping for the show here tonight, was, what are your feelings? And the first thing I said is Bears have a franchise quarterback. That's what I'm excited about, man. That's what I'm excited about. We had a Monday Night Football showdown in Foxborough in the rain, which, the Bears with the famous Week 1 win versus the San Francisco 49ers in that monsoon at Soldier Field. They go to Foxborough and play in the rain, and they ended up on top 33-14. I just want to pause there, Miles.
Hey, man, fan out, dude. Fan out. Do it. Just let your fan fly here. Fan out on that win, because you didn't expect that.
I didn't.
Right?
No, I didn't expect it. I mean, anybody who listens to the podcast, I predicted, the Bears in prime time to drop this game.
You predicted the opposite.
Yeah, I predicted the opposite. But why I feel really good is because it was that almost vindication of what I've been saying and what it feels like I've been saying on this podcast as a broken record of, well-coached team, disciplined team. They're playing hard. They're going to come out and they're going to smack some people in the mouth. And that's what happened. this week. I think
Yeah.
um, from the game itself, what stood out was the coaching, the play calling, the scheming, the adjustments throughout the game, which there were many adjustments to be made. We have Bill Belichick on the opposite sideline, right? You have first year head coach and Matt Eberflus, first year play caller, and Luke Getzey. And one stat that stands out, Miles, is Justin Field in rushing, right? And so he carried the ball 14 times for 82 yards, 5.9 yard average. At that point, you're impacting the game in a completely different way than being a pocket passer. Which he didn't do bad throwing the ball either. He was 13 for 21, 179 yards. And, the offense was effective. He was making adjustments throughout the day, reading the defense very well. And Justin Fields' main takeaway from the game, Miles, as what you would want to see on prime time. And before the game started, Ryan Poles had an impromptu press conference. And I'm not sure if you caught this, but he had an impromptu press conference at Foxborough where he endorsed Justin Fields. Right. And so I think that was brilliant, a brilliant move by a rookie GM, because all the storyline would have been the entire Monday Night Football broadcast would have been the on the question marks, the uncertainties, the lack of talent, the lack of offseason moves by that front office to put talent around Justin Fields. He comes out, nips that in the bud, right? Says he completely endorses Justin Fields, his head coach. He thinks that they're going in the right direction. And then boom, you get this type of performance. I think sends a very strong message. In retrospect, this was the last primetime game of the season for Chicago. They have, and this is no secret, they have 130 million in salary cap. They're going to be under 130 million next off season. Do you think this was a opportunity to recruit free agents? Because I think so, Miles. You go and you show what you can do and what you're capable of. I think that, especially with the NFL watching, sends a message. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, man. It's gotten more interesting over the last few years because, and we both grew up with football and, at the same time and through the same era. And, you know, we were kind of born right before the beginning of free agency, so most of our fan time has had free agency involved. But now it seems lately the front offices are starting to mean a lot more to the overall product on the field than they used to. Used to feel like the front offices were the guys in the suits. They stay up in the box. You don't know who they are. You don't really see them very much. Now it does feel like that matters to these players and where they play. And you see things like guys getting upset with how negotiations go with organizations. We saw the Kyler Murray thing unfold this last offseason, which was kind of weird. There was the Russell Wilson thing in Seattle going back and forth, and that's kind of weird. And all of this seems to involve more than the coach and the team. It seems to be, like these players have issues with the front office, and in the past, you had like To, where it's like it just seemed like it was about money, right? Like you got guys that come in, they want to get paid, and you're like, well, you don't think the team can pay them, so they hold out. But it was always about money, right? It was always kind of pretty straightforward. It was not like some kind of weird personal dispute, and then you get into the details of the contract and how it actually works, and it seems like things have gotten really weird like that lately. Even Davante Adams wanting out of Green Bay, and now it feels like maybe that has more to do with Aaron Rodgers than we thought. But yeah, man, I think that's absolutely an opportunity for Poles to say, look, I'm here to build a player-friendly organization in a way that is meaningful. You can say I'm going to build a player-friendly organization and then just get railroaded by the players and have the inmates running the asylum, so to speak, and you're going to have a circus. And that's not to say that players or inmates. Maybe that was a terrible
I was gonna
analogy,
say
but
I
I
don't even
think
know if inmates are in asylums these days, Miles. But hey, so we digress. So check this out.
terrible. Yeah, digress, digress.
With with Ryan Poles, here's what I think has been polarizing, right? Is the talent lack thereof. We say this, typically week in and week out. And a polarizing pick is that George Pickens, which I think even Green Bay can fit into this category of passing
Oh, we've
over
heard about that.
George Pickens, right? And what he's doing over there with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky and making some highlight real catches, but his plan, and I mean I mean Ryan Poles, he's come out now multiple times and said vocally, verbatim, I am going to do what is best for the organization. I am going to prioritize what is best for the organization long term, right? So a lot of questions for taking that Kyler Gordon selection and then following that with the Jaquan Brisker. If you have blue chip pieces at those premium positions, you you have a defense that you can take in any given Sunday and be competitive with those positions, right?
Yes.
And so what happens in Foxborough in a game where you need big plays? His rookies come out and that 6'9" defense, six Kyler Gordon, nine Jaquan Brisker, both have interceptions. And that's again on primetime Monday night. Those are Ryan Poles' guys. I think he is putting the Bears in a position for long-term success, building a team the right way, putting players in positions to succeed. And if you look back, Miles, to kind of pivot a little bit, the Khalil Mack trade to LA, right? He sends off what you could say is probably the best player on the team in Khalil Mack and puts him at the time, right? Because now we're in week 8, things change. But at the time, LA was a contender, right? Super Bowl contender,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can point to, okay, they did trade Khalil Mack, but at least he put him in a good situation, right? So what happens today? Today, when we're recording, um, Robert Quinn was traded to Philadelphia, and same thing. You have a 32-year-old edge rusher who is coming off of 18 and a half sacks, career high last season. And he is someone that right, with the dynamic of this team, the DNA of this roster, that he's just an odd man out for next year. Right. And so what does Ryan Poles do? He ships him off to a 6-0 Philadelphia Eagles, right? Like you got to say, like, again, he's putting these guys in situations where if you understand that football is a business, those are really good moves by to the player, right? By doing right by the player,
Sure.
right? You're not shipping off
Absolutely.
your career high veteran edge rusher to a rebuilding team, non-contending team. No, you're putting him in a position where he could potentially be a Super Bowl champion this week. Not this week, this year.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I really like that trade, Miles. The package back for that Robert Quinn trade was a fourth. And so again, 6-0 Eagles, you can anticipate, if they make a deep playoff run, that's going to be almost like a high five, right? Because it's going to be so late in the fourth round. But still, that's now 9 picks. So he has now
You can
accumulated.
find a starter in that
Oh,
area. There's a lot of
absolutely.
starting offensive linemen in that
Oh,
area.
well, even today you have Braxton Jones in that starting left tackle position, which is a key position, and he was a 5th round draft pick, right?
Right. Right.
And he's a rookie, so you tell me we have a 4, and if anything, Miles, with those 9 picks, now you can be creative either way on the draft board. You have more draft capital
Right.
now if you want to move up, right? Which is something that is not really being spoken of because with just his pattern of trading back and accumulating picks is more than likely what's going to happen. All I'm saying is now you have that option to trade up right? And essentially, how you can look at it is essentially Ryan Poles bought a fourth round draft pick because they're paying
Exactly.
right that $18 million contract with Robert Quinn. So just really smart navigation of an NFL roster, in my opinion. Couple that
Yes.
with the LA Chargers, the Philadelphia Eagles doing right by your veteran players. That's what's sending a message to the league, right? Of that those that crop of free agent players that are going to be looking for their next team or their next contract. It's going to make it more appealing to come to a team like Chicago, right? Because the front office is showing that they're competent, which is a train wreck in previous years, right? Where free agents wouldn't come near Chicago with a 10-foot pole. You're starting to change that sentiment in the NFL. And not to mention be more respected in NFL circles. So, for instance, Ian Cunningham, right, Ryan Poles' right hand man, his assistant GM, he was Philadelphia last year, Miles. So who do you think was arranging that entire trade, right? With Philly. I mean, that was all Ian Cunningham. Ryan Poles came out and said that they leveraged his communication channels into that organization and get this deal done. And to me, that's just something that I don't see Ryan Pace, making that savvy of a move. Not to pick on anybody or throw any shade, but it's just really nice and really refreshing to start seeing some of these really, really good roster moves.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, that's how you recover from the mess that he inherited. Ryan Pace shipping off all those picks. You got to go get that capital back. And you're right. He essentially bought that fourth round pick, but that's a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah.
You need that draft capital, and that's a valuable pick. That's somebody that can very well be a starter. Maybe not their rookie year, but in some cases they are starting as rookies in that area. We've seen that plenty of times.
So hot take,
Um,
Miles. Really hot. I would say on on the broiler hot here is I think David Montgomery is on the trading block.
you
Um,
think he's
I
next?
think he's next, and so this is a gut feeling, and this would be swimming upstream a bit because Eberflus has come out today or yesterday and said, "Hey, Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery are a 1-2 punch," right? But this is the NFL. And when you are a team with a specific dynamic, i.e., the Chicago Bears, that are, let's just call a spade, you're rebuilding. You're rebuilding this year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if you can get a appealing offer for David Montgomery, you take it. If you can get
Oh yeah.
two
Oh
threes
yeah.
or something like that for David Montgomery, um, you absolutely take that deal. That's going to be a unpopular opinion with Bear fans. But if you're in a rebuild, the best thing you can do as a fan, as a GM, as a head coach, is completely remove emotion from it, right? Like 100%.
Yeah, you have
You
to.
have to remove emotion from it, understand what you have. And speaking of emotion, I say that like it's easy. It's not, right?
No, it's not. These are
No,
human
these are human
beings.
beings. Roquan Smith was choked up
Yep.
at his press conference, after practice today, when he actually found out of the Robert Quinn trade at the podium. He choked up, and he
Yep.
he needed to be excused from that press conference. And that just shows, these are human beings at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
But again, I go back to the value of what can you get back for a David Montgomery? What can you get back? And again, not going to like to hear this, but what can you get back for an Eddie Jackson? Right? What can you get back for a Roquan Smith if that's the direction you're going in, or if you're Ryan Poles and you say, I like Eddie Jackson for an organizational piece. I like Roquan Smith as an organizational piece. I like David Montgomery as an organizational piece. Now you have the 130 million in cap space next year. where paying a Roquan a $20 million contract that he was looking for in the offseason isn't going to hurt you, right? And then you lock
Right.
up that fan favorite organizational piece if that's how you have them graded. If you don't, and you're Ryan Poles, you're selling this week.
You have to. Uh, and you have to look at it as, look, I've got this piece, and he either runs out of his contract and leaves, or I turn him into a future piece. I mean, that these guys have to try to string assets and get returns for these guys, and let as few just walk as possible. I mean, they want to make trades for everybody they can. They don't want to let anybody just walk in free agency. So yeah, I think that you do have to look at it that way. And Robert Quinn is a perfect example. You look at a guy as like, all right, are you going to re-sign him in the offseason? Probably not. Okay, well then get what you can for him. Don't let him walk if he's worth something.
Well, 32 years old,
So
Miles.
yeah, I mean he's
You,
not, again, and he's a perfect case because he's not retired, but yeah, he's not a piece you're building around right now.
oh no. And that is what is what happens. What's the cause and effect of moving on from Robert Quinn is Dominique Robinson and Travis Gibson, young guys, get reps, right? Like that, like
Yep.
that is something that in the past, right, which has been frustrating, especially in those Matt Nagy seasons where they would go, I think they went back-to-back years with 6-game losing streaks. When you're in the middle of a 6-game losing streak, Miles, and you have a guy that is probably in the twilight of his career, taking reps away from a rookie, or like a rookie that your GM drafted. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you can't
insane,
do that.
right? Because you're not evaluating the talent that you have. And so for them to have the situational awareness to say, hey, let's not only kick the tires, let's really test drive these guys, these Dominique Robinsons of the world, these Travis Gibsons of the world. Let's really put some miles on them just to see what we got. Do we have a diamond in the rough? Right? Do we? Well, now you have an opportunity to find out. Again, just going back to just really
Absolutely.
smart GM decisions, in my opinion. And we have a couple little roster updates also as we look forward to the Cowboys this weekend. Is Larry Borum and Lucas Patrick on the offensive line, man. Can't catch a break there. That offensive line unit.
Oh man.
Larry Borum with a concussion is going to be out. So Riley Reef is going to be probably stepping in at that right tackle position. At the center position, Miles, I think I saw Lucas Patrick. I mean, he's on the IR. He's done for the year, which brings Sam Mustipher into that starting role, which, I mean,
Ouch.
you talk about, and not making a correlation here at all, right? But just, like that doomsday cockroach that you just like, it's just a nuke, like 10 nukes and a million years later, and it's just a
Just
wasteland. And
keeps
there's that
crawling out
little
from under the
cockroach
fridge.
running
You're like,
around.
brother.
I mean, oh my goodness, that is like what it feels like. Like he was benched for 10 plays, right? So they went on that quote unquote mini bye with the Thursday night football game and then the Monday night game. And a lot was said about the roster evaluation. And sure enough, what happens? Sam Mustipher's benched. It took 10 plays, Miles. It took 10 plays before he is back in that starting lineup. It's almost unbelievable at this point. You know how I feel about
You can't
Sam
get rid of him.
Mustipher. But just the last piece there with that center position is Dieter Easlin. He has been activated from the practice squad, so he is another offensive lineman who has snapping abilities. And don't forget that we may get Whitehair back here in some time as he continues to recover from his injury.
Yeah, the injury bug is that sucks whenever you're trying to evaluate talent and then you got guys like Sam Mustipher getting in the middle of all of that. Um, no, and I didn't get to do enough of a fair review on the Packers against the Commanders, but we do. I want to move on from that just disgusting display of football. But all this talk about the front office and everything. This is why I have so much speculation and confusion and optimism, really, at the end of the day, about what's going on with the Packers is whatever it is, the front office is not the problem here. Like, they know how to stack talent on this team. They know how to go find it in a diamond in the rough. They know how to use their first-round picks. They know how to navigate the free agency and the draft. Gute's been a very well-rounded GM to this point. I think everybody's got to give him fair credit there. So me as a fan, I'm looking at this going, kind of this a little bit further along the road, where it's like, we've got a lot of talent on this roster. We've got a good front office. What is holding this up? You guys figure it out and remove the problem. It's so frustrating because you've got guys scoring defensive touchdowns. You got guys out there. You got Rashawn Gary has the potential to be one of the best edge rushers in the league. You got all these pieces. We're not in this mode where it's like, you're in full rebuild. You're looking at guys on one-year contracts and start to try to move on from them. If you ask me who we're going to trade in this team, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Except for the quarterback room.
I still can't believe
that.
That yeah, I can't believe that.
Well, say the quarterback room, because obviously moving Jordan Love wouldn't be a shocker to anybody, and I think he does have value across the league compared to some of the quarterbacks that are getting trotted out there. But the Indianapolis Colts might come calling soon. We'll see how Sam Ehlinger does.
Listen, all it's going to take is for Green Bay to go and get a W against the Bills, and you'll be on this podcast next week talking about the Super Bowl.
I'll be insufferable. I will be freaking miserable. You guys will hate me. Our views will be so low if we beat the Bills. I will have no shame about turning my opinion
just
around, and I think most of our listeners know that.
Yeah, well, I like to just go on record and just say I think I'm a little bit consistent in my my overall sentiment of this team, whereas you are hot and cold, Miles.
Very hot and cold, but I try to be consistent in my criticisms.
We'll see. That's new because I had to call you out on cleaning that up.
That's fine. That's good. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I need to be called out, and I'm happy to be. I need bumpers sometimes.
Yeah.
Bump me back into my lane. But no, I mean, they've got so much talent on this team. It wouldn't surprise me. And this is one of those things where we'll get to our predictions here on the games coming up here in just a minute. Would it surprise me if they beat Buffalo? A little bit, but it kind of depends on how. They've done this before. There's been seasons and times in the past, and I remember my dad and I usually have these conversations where he gets the most heated fan opinion from me usually. And, we've gone into games in the past. One was notably against the Panthers, where it's like, look, I have no logical or rational reason that I can tell you that the Packers are going to win this game, but I think they're going to win this game. The other team, better. Packers imploding.
Whoa.
They should, by all means, not win this game. So am I going to predict that they beat the Bills? Spoiler alert, no, I'm not.
Okay.
Would I be surprised? I was leading you in there, didn't I?
You had me there.
Yeah, spoiler alert. We'll get into how I get there. But, no, I mean, would I be surprised if this turns into one of those games where they just go off and win it despite what everybody thinks? No, because they have done that before, and it'll irritate me slightly, but I'll enjoy it because that's what fans do.
Yeah.
When your team wins, you enjoy it. You got Sam Mustipher coming back in your starting lineup, man. Like, you got to enjoy the sunshine you have because there are storms ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk about those storms.
Yeah, man. Let's make a smooth transition from last week. I got to highlight a couple of nice things from last week against the Commanders, but you lost to the Commanders, so that's it. There was like a spit of a highlight. A defensive touchdown was really fun. We're done.
Yeah, one was taken away. One was taken off the board.
I'm trying to do my best not to gripe about the refs here, man, because I don't want to be that guy.
I saw you blow your lid there.
I really don't want to gripe about the refs because I don't want to be that guy right now. I've got enough to gripe about, but the refs got to get their shit together.
Oh man.
Anyway, yeah, man. So we got interesting weeks coming up. Obviously, the Packers have the Bills. The Bears have the Cowboys. Why did we not get one of our Cowboys fan friends on here?
This is the week
for this discussion.
This is the week.
Should we go there first? Can we go there first?
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen here? against the Cowboys, man, an arch
Oh,
nemesis of the both of
well,
us.
listen, if there's Cowboy fans out there listening to this segment on the prediction, so Justin Fields is going to go back barreling down to earth because he's going to be running for his life, man. He is. I mean that. Let's just call a spade a spade. I was going to say that defense. Micah Parsons is
There you
is
go.
licking
There you
is
go.
licking his chops right now.
Yeah, he's a
Um,
beast.
if you want to know how I feel about this, Miles, so in my money league, I have Patrick Mahomes. He's on a bye week this week, and I had slim pickings to stream a quarterback, and Justin Fields is sitting there. I picked him up really just instinctively, like, okay, he had a great game with that Monday Night Football game, and then throughout the day, just the ghost of that Micah Parsons pass rush just kept creeping into my mind, and I might pick up Andy Dalton and just stream him this week. I think it's gonna be tough to put up any sort of successful drives or I don't want to completely take the Bears offense, and not make it competitive because I think there's obviously going to be some big plays that keep them, in the game. I have the Cowboys taking this one Sunday. It's the early noon game. I don't see it as far as the Bears offense versus that Cowboys defense. I do think the wild card is obviously Dak Prescott and the Bears defense. Anything can happen there, but this one I have 17-14 Dallas.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it'll be actually more high scoring than that. And as much as I'd love to just rain down on Dallas and give them a whole bunch of crap, I mean, I do think they'll win. I think that what we're seeing though from the Bears, at least the Bears offense, is some growth and progression. So I do think that they'll find ways to move the ball against the Cowboys and put some points up. Um, but you're right, man. Micah Parsons is a beast. No stranger to Justin Fields. Just to Ohio State, Penn State. They had a few clashes together. They've seen each other plenty of times. But yeah, I do think that there will be probably some crunch time plays where you're right. He's just going to be running for his life. Micah Parsons is a fast dude. It's going to be hard for them to overcome that and be able to move the ball when they need to. And man, big question mark because the Cowboys let the Lions hang around. Like,
Yeah, I
I
well,
don't know about that, man.
here completely different, game obviously with the teams, but with Justin Fields, I will say this is what I'm critical of is at times he holds on to that ball way too long, where he can, just rifle that ball and just throw it away, right? Just get rid of
Yeah.
it, throw it away. And he is just maybe overconfident in his speed and his playmaking ability, where he'll just try to hold on to that ball till the last possible second, and he's taking significant loss in yardage on these plays. With Micah Parsons, I don't think you have that ability to scramble away from him. You're not getting away from Micah. Justin Fields he's no slowpoke. He runs a 4.5 40, 4.4 40. But I still think that if they plan for spying him, I think that you neutralize his legs all unless they bring that game plan that they had against Bill Belichick where they brought in runs for Justin, right? So these are play calls for Justin to be run the ball. If that's the case, I think you can keep that defense honest. But I just don't think they have enough firepower in the air to do so.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I mentioned that I think that this Bears fan is a Bears fan. Bears offense is going through growth and progression and learning. I think that obviously Parsons is no secret. So, when they're scouting this week, when they're looking at the film and trying to figure out, what they're going to do,
Oh, they're going to run the ball.
you're probably going to you're going to try to take advantage of his speed. Get him off. Get him rushing upfield, throw screens behind him. You're going to run the ball away from him, run the ball right at him in traps.
He chases you down.
There's things you can do to kind of offset a guy's advantage like that, but then that means you're running into the other side, which is DeMarcus Lawrence and some other formidable defensive players that they've got. So it's not going to be easy. It's they've got a great, what looks like a great defense right now, but again, they let the Lions hang around. Dak Prescott was a little slow to get it going in that game. What happens there? How did they come out? And if the Bears pop them in the mouth, can they handle that? We might have a QB controversy brewing down in Dallas, man.
Uh-oh.
So we got to see what goes on there. But I do think it's a close one. I think it's probably one of those that sort of you get a couple quick scores and then things slow down a little bit, a little frustrating football here and there. I'm going to say that the Cowboys probably edge this one out 28-24.
Wow. Yeah. I'm excited. I mean, let's not forget as a fan, and I always follow up with this is, do I want them to win?
Of
110%.
course, yeah.
I'm going to be watching Sunday, hoping that they find a way to play Dallas hard and find a way to take that road W. They're going to be wearing their orange helmets, orange jerseys, so it's going to be a color on color with the Dallas Navy. It's going to be one that I'm looking forward to, Miles. And like you said, if Green Bay finds a way to upset the Bills, which I think they're 10.5-point underdogs here.
Yeah,
Which is
there's
like
no way on
the
paper this
first time
happens.
in Aaron Rodgers, I think, career that he's a 10-point underdog or a double-digit underdog in a matchup. I'm going to be insufferable just because it's the team, right? It's who they're playing, which is Dallas and the Cowboys. I will say for Bears fans, they travel well. If you are headed to that game, I think you're in for a treat with Arlington and Jerry World that he's built there. We talk a lot of shit, Miles, but it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And the tailgate scene, hey, here, listen. From I've been to a lot of tailgates at Lambeau, right? And that is some historic tailgating. The tailgate scene at Jerry World is legit. The guys they're cooking up the food out there in that parking lot, y'all. It is some chef's kiss. Just it's so good. Barbecue, Mexican, all sorts of great food getting cooked up out there. It is a treat before you even get into Jerry World. If you're going out there, you're going to a game, do yourself a favor, take about an hour and just like walk from tailgate to tailgate, just sort of walk through. Everybody's very welcoming. Enjoy it because there's some amazing food out there. A lot of people having fun. I've had a blast every time I've gone out there to tailgate at Jerry World. And I've always been welcome, even though I'm the obnoxious Packer fan that Cowboys fans hate to see after the game. But no, I definitely echo your sentiments there. If you guys are going out there, have a good time because it's a treat.
Yeah, I've actually I've tailgated at Jerry World and had I mean it's a blast. I ran into a Chicago Bear and I'm kicking myself because I can't remember I can't remember his name, but it was a wide receiver. Um, and he was out there snapping pictures with fans. And so got that experience. But yeah, just gonna have a good time there in Dallas if you get an opportunity to go and tailgate. Um, what is your final prediction for this? What is it? Sunday night football or Monday night football, Miles?
I think it's Sunday Night Football. Yeah, let's jump into that here. All right, so I'm gonna type in what I think will happen based on how things have gone lately. for my score prediction there. I'll let you type yours in. Now, what I think will happen is we'll continue to see what we've seen. You'll see a frustrated offense that can't move the ball very well. They'll show a couple of spurts of hope, and ultimately kick themselves in the feet the entire game. You'll see the defense hold on probably for the first half, make it look interesting, and get sick of carrying the load and get the top blown off of them in the second half. That's kind of how it's gone. And you've been going against, mediocre offenses, we'll say. I won't say bad because, hindsight being what it is, Giants don't look bad. The Jets don't look bad. The Commanders, they're not good, but they didn't look bad against the Packers. So, now you've got a great offense and a great defense, no doubt about it, and the thing is you've got talented players, you've got motivated, you've got players who have been in these games before. So it's not like these guys can't rise to the occasion to go toe-to-toe talent-wise with the Bills. I think they can. But based on how they've played lately, how Joe Barry has run the defense, how the offense has not gotten out of its own way, I just don't see any reason for that changing. And I think that's what we'll see again. And you'll see this team spiral out of control against a really good team that's going to make them pay for it. My final score prediction is that the Packers will lose 14-42.
Golly.
Sounds brutal, doesn't it?
Well, I think this has been a tell us how you really feel episode for Miles. Listen, I think it's going to be more Buffalo just dominating than Green Bay, beating themselves or losing, and that's because there's tiers of teams in the NFL, and let's be realistic. Buffalo's an elite team this season, right? And it's just one of those
no
where
doubt.
they're going to come out and do what Buffalo does, and Green Bay is going to have to play hard and compete. I don't know. I definitely have it above 35 on Buffalo's offense, or I should say on them scoring points. I think it's a 35-21 Buffalo Bills game, and those Packer TDs coming late. I think it's going to be more competitive of a final score than it will be game, right? That's my prediction for that. And Miles, I owe this to the listeners. Ready for this blast from the past? Mark Bradley. That's who I took a picture with
There we
in
go.
Dallas.
Mark Bradley.
Tailgating.
Nice. You just never know. That's why you got to get out at these tailgates.
You have to.
Hey, I will say, look, I feel like maybe sometimes don't go far enough into our game previews on what's coming up. We do get into griping about what happened. I will say the areas you have for optimism are you have 2 good safeties and 3 good cornerbacks at the very least.
Yeah.
You've got the secondary talent to keep Josh Allen from blowing the top off of you, which is what he's very good at. Now, what they've been terrible at is letting those things happen underneath and giving up yak and all that. But there is optimism. There is there's a path where the Packers win this game. Do I think it will happen? No.
Yeah.
But talent-wise, you've got the defenders that can get after the quarterback. You've got the secondary that can defend against an elite offense, and you've even got an offense with the pieces, like I said, in your running backs, in your tight ends, in your quarterback, in your offensive line. Some of them that can win a game against an elite defense. But that all has to come together at its best, and you haven't seen anything close to their best at this point.
Yep.
So anyway, I just wanted to kind of go a little further into it to say, my final score prediction is kind of rough, but is that total doom and gloom? No, that's me trying to just be an emotional Packer fan and say if they keep up this BS, it's going to get ugly. There's always room for optimism.
Man, our next show is going to be. I'm excited. I don't know what kind of what kind of miles we're going to get. It's either going to
You
be
just never know. That's why you got to tune
Super
in,
Bowl
come
or
back.
bust, or it's going to be the wheels are on fire. The wheels are on fire on this thing.
Trade Aaron
Trade
Rodgers, trade
everybody.
Jordan, trade them all, trade Matt LaFleur.
Yep, I will say, Miles, nobody had the Bears getting that W in Foxborough. Nobody
No,
did, right? Now, I mean, I didn't, and I'm not sure anybody really had them winning that game. And then the way they won it goes back to what we say over and over again. Any given Sunday, it's still Aaron
oh
Rodgers
yeah,
going out there trotting on Sunday Night Football prime time. And he's a smart guy. He knows people are watching. He knows
oh
people are
yeah, and
watching.
he loves being
He
an
loves it.
underdog. He does.
Well, he loves, what did he say at the podium? He said, the silver lining is, you know, we have, uh, we have an opportunity to go out against Buffalo next week. And it's, what do we have as a team? He said that right after
Yeah, it could be the
they
best
lost. It could be
thing.
the
It could be
best
the
thing
best thing for us.
that happens to
Yeah.
us. And so you're right, man. Any given Sunday, um, let's uh let's enjoy it how we say we do with these short NFL weeks. And if you are going to be watching the games this weekend and want to feel better, what do they got to do, Miles?
Hey man, I'd like to address something real quick before we help our listeners feel better today.
Oh,
We have a Twitter poll out there. Have you seen our Twitter poll?
I have seen it, Miles. I didn't know if you would want to go there right now.
Well, I mean, there's 48 votes on this poll,
Oh, I
and
haven't
it
seen
seems
that.
very
Let's see it. Let's
decisive.
see it.
I mean, I've been very doom and gloom on this episode of this podcast right now,
People
but
feel good.
there are a lot of you that disagree with me, and so we floated it out there
Oh,
on the
geez.
Twitter page. We said don't hold back, y'all. Who is the better 3-4 team right now? Because both teams are 3-4. So it's a fair question here. The Bears or the Packers, and an overwhelming 87.5%
Yeah.
have said that the Packers are still the better 3-4 team. That's with 48 votes. I mean, and
Yeah,
actually, to be
that's
fair,
for
that's not
us.
me. I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I
48
didn't vote
burner
in that
accounts,
one.
huh? Well, I'll tell you this, Miles, is I'll let you have that moral victory. I mean,
48 burner accounts.
it's sometimes it's that cope that we talked about in the preseason. It's a 3-game skid. If you guys are a better 3-4 team, then so be it. I'm not gonna say much
I'll
there.
take my victories where I
Yeah,
can get them because
take
the
them where
Packers
you
aren't giving them to me right now.
take them where you can, sir. Take them where you can.
But yeah, so that poll made me feel better today.
There you
And if the rest
go.
of y'all
There
want to
you
feel better
go.
today, head
Good for
yourself
you.
over to lifeleafremedies.com and get yourself some natural remedies, y'all. It is our personal passion out there to help y'all feel better today. We're combining natural remedies with cannabinoids, natural vitamins and supplements, minerals, fungi, all those things that are good for you. They grow out of this earth and can fix a lot of the problems that we have. I mean, shoot, man, these gummies we got, they're delicious and they give you some great sleep, which is why we're giving you a free bottle of 60 gummies. Every time you spend $75 on the website or more, you will get a free bottle of gummies. That's through the end of October, so you better get on it. You only got a few days left to that. But otherwise, subscribe and save. Don't pay for shipping. Get 10% off your order, y'all. We're trying to save you money, not charge you more in this expensive economy with inflation and all the other terrible things out there. So we want you to, again, feel better today. We got your remedies for these things, man. Go combat this world. We got you. We're your sword and shield. So yeah, check us out, lifeleafremedies.com. And we would like to also politely ask, and not include an H word here, that you do us the cost-free favor of spiking the like button and
I love
subscribing to
it.
this channel. Because, guys, it doesn't cost you anything. Hit us up. Give us a little favor. We're over here bantering once a week. This is our 13th episode that we've been able to pull off. And that little like button and that little subscribe button goes a very, very long way. So greatly appreciate that. And sir, why don't you send us off with some kind words, because you are the winner of the week here, not me. I have had enough airtime griping my negative
Hey,
energies at people. Give us some positive energies on our way out
yeah,
here.
here's some positive energies. We are gonna be excited for these next few weeks. Long season ahead of us. I'm gonna continue to fan out, because if we lose, or if we win, I should say, against the Cowboys,
Oh man.
it's gonna be
Oh
fun.
man.
But I'm gonna go ahead and sign off with a nice bear down.
All right, and hey, I'm still here with us, you guys. Go Pack, go all day. Doesn't matter we're winning or losing. We still boozing.
There you go. Miles.